Great. Thank you so much, Alex. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm going to go through this presentation about why you need a healthy brand for healthy business. And my aim is really to reassure you so that by the end of this talk, you'll be reassured about the fact that you don't need a super slick, fancy, expensive brand to get started. It just needs to be clear. It needs professional enough to give you credibility. You can always develop it as you go, as you grow your business. I also want to reassure you that you don't have to become anything or anyone new. You're already your own authentic brand as a nutritional therapist. Everything already exists inside of you, your heart and soul of why you started this career and how you want to help people is already there. So you don't have to like invent yourself. You just have to express it in an authentic and clear way so that people connect with the real you. So I was just talking to Alex and I said, if I were giving this branding talk about people who were launching products, like supplement companies, I'd be giving a very different talk. But you guys are all nutritional therapists who want to go out there and offer service for people. So I'm going to take you through my Branding 101 Masterclass. I have a handout at the end that you can download with everything I've talked about in a handy checklist. So you don't have to worry about making notes, just relax, have a cup of tea, fold your laundry, whatever. It's just going to be a very kind of relaxed and simple presentation that goes over everything very quickly, and then you can go into it deeper later on. So I'm going to go through the slides pretty quickly. Again, don't worry. I just want to get through them. I don't want you to get bored of the sound of my own voice. You can always contact me later if you have any questions. And of course, we have the Q&A at the end. So Branding 101, I'm going to introduce myself. I have over 25 years experience in branding and design and copywriting. I retrained as a nutritional therapist, very common story among all of us. When my daughter came down with a very severe autoimmune illness called PANDAS, and we couldn't get the medical help we needed, I did better research than the FBI as a worried mom, found out about this thing called nutritional therapy, delved into that, retrained so I could know everything about it. And then because I'd been working in the corporate world for so long, I was a bit jaded and a bit tired. I thought, oh, this is going to be my new career. I'm going to become a nutritional therapist. This is perfect. I've always kind of been on board with natural health, but I didn't know a lot about it. I didn't know how powerful it could be until I started having to apply these principles to my own child. In my branding and design career, I worked for clients large and small. And then I retrained, became a nutritional therapist. I couldn't afford to just give up my old career and start a new one from scratch. So I was kind of doing both at the same time, which was really interesting. And fast forward 7 years, and now I am focusing mainly on the design and branding for people specializing in natural health. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how I arrived here. So when I first started to become, to retrain as a nutritional therapist, I was really excited. I call this series of slides, so you want to be a nutritional therapist. So I started and I thought, this is amazing. I really geeked out, loved learning all this stuff about new nutritional science and how to read lab tests and just the power of it and how it just opened my eyes and it gave me lots of hope for my child, what I could do. And I was also, full disclaimer, working with a nutritional therapist called Stella at Brainstorm Health. So I was really impressed with what she was doing. But anyways, yeah, super excited. Found this whole tribe of people who felt the same way I did, and I really connected with them. And I felt like this is it. I found my next career, and I'm so excited. And then, of course, we have that kind of starting up clinic module where they tell you about GDPR and client records. And I thought, oh God, I didn't think about that I'm gonna have to do all this admin that I never had to do as like a design or branding freelancer. I'd set out an estimate and get send out an invoice, and that was like the extent of my paperwork. I didn't have to take questionnaires and keep notes and protocols and stuff. But I thought, okay, I'm gonna put on my big girl pants. It'll be fine. I can manage. But then when it was time to launch, I was absolutely horrified at the idea of having to create a business and a brand that I had to put out there. I'm quite an introvert, quite a shy person, quite a highly sensitive person. And I was stuck in the fear of starting. And I was thinking, I have 25 years experience of doing this for other companies. So why can't I do it for myself, was my first thought, like, come on, get over yourself. But my second thought was, what must everybody else be thinking? Like, they don't even know what they have to do to start to kind of build a brand that they can then go out and successfully communicate to their audience and get clients. So I thought, right, I'll start doing branding workshops for my colleagues to teach them what branding is and how to do it in an authentic and effective way. Because a lot of my colleagues were coming into class saying, oh, look, I've just had a designer design me a logo. We came up with a cool name, and they only charged me 600 pounds, and now I'm known as XYZ Health, and I'm printing out business cards. And I was thinking, oh God, you didn't need to do that. Like, that's actually not the best way to brand yourself as a person giving a service. So, and full disclosure, I never actually had to really launch as a nutritional therapist because Stella from Brainstorm Health hired me as a practitioner. So I worked for her. I helped rebrand her brand and did lots of marketing materials for her as well. But it was all through her. She already had the reputation. She already had the waiting list out the door. I never had to like work hard to brand myself and market myself to get clients. So I worked through her. Now, unfortunately, I then got very ill with long COVID and then quite a dramatic health problem that resulted in emergency surgery earlier this year. I'm recovering from my second surgery this year, about 6 weeks ago. So I had to give up nutritional therapy. I couldn't sit at a screen and see clients. I was too unwell, ironically, to do nutritional therapy. And it broke my heart. I'm gonna get emotional because what we do is so important. And I really felt like I was letting the team down by quitting and not being able to do that work anymore. But I could still do the branding and design work. That was less demanding because nutritional therapy is a tough job. You know, we have to really keep our boundaries and keep well. And then I thought, to have this extra level of stress that my colleagues have to just get out there and get started just doesn't seem fair to me. So I really wanted to create a business of my own that would really help people get out there, because my mission is to, make the world a healthier place, one business at a time. We need to get out there. So I want to remove all the barriers I can from people starting. So this talk is to just take you through what branding is and how to put together a brand, all the bits and pieces you need. I call it anatomy of a brand, to put it in our language. And then to take you through how you can begin to do this, and then with the Q&A. Again, at the end, there's a QR code. You're going to download a checklist of everything I'm talking about, so you don't have to keep notes if you don't want to. So please just sit back and relax while I kind of give a very quick presentation about this, because I also don't want to bore you guys. So, right. So what is branding? When I say a brand, I mean the thing that's going to make your business grow and thrive. So every business starts with the seed of an idea. And I like using this metaphor because, again, it's a natural metaphor. But you need to plant the seed in the right place for it to grow. And it needs to be nurtured with the right thing for it to grow into a nice tree and bear fruit. So that's your business. You have to keep nurturing it and making sure. So, if you plant an apple tree in a place where people only like to eat peaches, it's not going to really work, right? So you have to find the right audience, where you're going to exist, and then you have to find all these things to nurture your business with, and branding is how you do this. So people often think of branding as just a logo, right? That's the dictionary definition of a brand, because that's the first definition that we had. People literally, it was from branding cattle. So companies that did products learned quite quickly that people would respond more quickly and remember a picture more than they remembered a word. So they started using symbols and pictures for their products. So that's why branding became known as like a logo, but it's become so much more than that. So your branding is more than your logo. It's even more than your fonts and your colors and your kind of brand style. And it's even more than your product or your service. So it's all of these things together, kind of that work in this kind of holistic organism, just like, our bodies. You can't separate parts of our bodies and expect them all to work well. They all have to work together, and it creates your whole identity. And it's a successful brand is a personal and emotional understanding about what your company is. And you're going to hear me saying that word a lot, emotional, because they've even hooked people up to brain scanners where they're looking at washing machines, and while they're deciding all the features and the pricing, the logical part of their brain is lighting up, but then when they go to press buy and to actually make the decision to purchase, the emotional part of their brain lights up, you know, because anything to do with money is quite emotional. So people need to really trust you and connect with you on an emotional level before they will buy your service. So, and because of this, it doesn't matter what your business is, if you're not branding it in the right way, so that people gain this trust and this emotional connection, then you know, your business is only going to go so far. So to illustrate this, I have a slide, and trigger warning, I apologize, because I am using images of fizzy drink. And so, oh, you know what, Alex, my big screen hasn't gone next. Can you just pop on and tell me if you can see the fizzy drink? Yes, okay, right. Great, sorry. So I can just see the thumbnail. They're two different slides. So anyway, I'm just going to pop this back up and see if it works now. Hold on. Oh yeah, okay, now it works on both. I'll click now. So how valuable is a brand? These are the exact same products. The one on the right is cheaper and does better in taste tests. So logically, the one on the right should be a more successful business. But the one on the left is Coca-Cola, and the one on the right is RC Cola, which you've probably never heard of. So RC Cola was started by someone who used to work for Coca-Cola and thought, I can do this cheaper and I can do this better. So they literally went out, same exact ingredients, but they made it taste a little bit better and they made it cheaper, and nobody cared. We were an RC family because we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So I used to ask my mother to decant the cola into a pitcher so people wouldn't know we were an RC family, because I wanted to be a Coca-Cola family, because Coke was cool, because Coca-Cola got branding right. Coca-Cola was nothing about how they tasted, how expensive they were, even what they were. They'd say Coke is life, have a Coke and a smile. They were promoting world peace in the 60s. I don't know if you remember that famous ad campaign, I'd like to give the world a Coke in perfect harmony. Coca-Cola was about summer and sunshine and friends, and it was about the joy of sharing life together. So they created a whole story. I mean, it's evil genius because it's very manipulative. It's just a fizzy drink product, but they created a whole story about what you would emotionally connect to when you associated Coca-Cola. So, you know, we're very sophisticated, complex human beings, but we're very easily manipulated by emotions, and Coke got it right. And Coke is so good at branding that I think a lot of you know this, but the reason Santa is red and white is because Coca-Cola rebranded him in the 30s. Santa was always shown in different robes, and a lot of times green, like the Victorians really loved the green robe. He was a traveler in a green robe going through towns with his sack and his staff. And Coca-Cola was like, okay, look guys, we have to sell more Coke in the winter because people don't like drinking cold drinks in the winter. So what are we gonna do? I know, let's rebrand Santa and make him like Coke. So they got Santa super caffeinated, probably gave him type 2 diabetes, and made him red and white. So now every time you see Santa, he's red and white. And my really cringy joke is that we as nutritional therapists, I want us to create this army because we can make Santa green again. Yeah, let's take back Santa and have him drinking kombucha instead of Coke. Really bad joke, but I'm just showing you the power of the brand, of when they can rebrand Christmas, you know they've done something right, and they've done something right because they tapped into an emotional story. And I'm here to reassure you that all of you already have that emotional story, because I can guarantee you that not one of you retrained as a nutritional therapist because you thought, I know this will be a very easy and lucrative career to get into. All of you retrained because it had some deep meaning for you about how you wanted to help people because of yourself, your own health problems, a loved one, etc. Or just in the belief that we need to fight against this kind of medical industrial food complex that's just, you know, filling us with unhealthy things. So to succeed, all your brand experiences need to be high quality, so they have to look professional. There's only so much DIY you can get away with. They have to be consistent so that whenever anybody sees your brand on that Instagram, scrolling, they're scrolling through hundreds, if not thousands of images an hour. So you need to show up looking the same. I know it feels really boring for yourself when you're making your Canva templates, but you have to show up consistently because then people will trust you. If you show up wearing a different outfit every time, people are going to be like, who are they really? And then the most important thing is it has to have an emotional or compelling reason. So again, Nike, brilliant brand, just do it. They democratized, exercise. Anybody can be an athlete. I can empower myself. I can put on my Nikes and go out running as a 54-year-old, self-employed single mother and get the benefit of exercise. Nike believes in me. I'm going to believe in Nike. And when a brand is this good, they can sell trainers to newborns who can't even walk yet for 109 pounds. So again, the evil genius power of a brand when they do it right. So how do businesses do it? Again, I've worked for multinational corporations. I've worked for sole traders, and the process is the same. You have to build it like any other healthy organism. It has to have certain parts, and these parts have to work together, right? So I've put it into the metaphor of anatomy for my fellow biomed comrades here. So the anatomy of a brand. So the brand strategy I think of as the DNA. There's two main parts of your brand. There's the brand strategy and then this brand expression. So the brand strategy is your DNA. If you can imagine, if we could go in and fix all the pesky SNPs in our client's DNA and take away the MTHFR SNP and the COMT SNP so they could just methylate and they wouldn't need all that methylation support. It'd be so much easier to get them healthy, right? So that's why I tell people it's really important you get your DNA right. So start with the DNA, start with the brand strategy. And that DNA is made up of some very important and wide-ranging things, but it's important you define all of them and get them right. So it's made up of your audience. You have to know who you're talking to. And when I say audience, I don't want people to panic and get worried that they have to niche right away, because you don't have to niche. It's not about niching, but it is about knowing how to speak to the people who are looking for your help. So, and then you have to tell them what problem you solve. That's the offer. So what are you offering people? That has to be really clear. Again, we're not offering nutritional therapy. People don't want nutritional therapy. They want more energy, lose weight, clearer skin. So you have to talk to them again, offer them the solution to their problem, not just nutritional therapy. Nutritional therapy is how you'll get there, but people are looking for solutions. So be careful about that. Your values, really important to define and stick to, because those are the promises you make, and that's how people will, promises you make of how you treat your clients, and that's how people will learn to trust you. And then the mission, the vision is your why. You really express why you got into this so that people can connect with you and connect with you on the emotional level. So that's the emotion that you bring through to that. So that's the brand strategy. Again, it's all on the checklist on how to do all this. So don't worry about scribbling down the notes now. And then the brand expression is how you bring that all to life. So you've got your DNA, and then how are the genes going to express themselves? It's going to be blue eyes or brown eyes or green eyes. So the brand expression will go through step by step now, because I think that's what people get most hung up on. They don't really, they kind of do the brand strategy maybe a little bit intuitively, but the brand expression is what people worry about the most. So we're going to go through the next slides talking about the logo type, the font style, color palette, behavior style, and your content as part of all these parts that make up your healthy brand. So when you get these two right, when they're authentic, when they make sense, when they really communicate you on an emotional level, that's what's going to create the connection with your clients. So that's where it all happens. So, okay, I like this quote. I'll let you read this quote while I have a sip of water. So people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and what you do simply proves what you believe. So again, that's really important to create that emotional connection. This is by an author called Simon Sinek, who's a marketing expert, and I really like some of his stuff. He has this book called Start With Why, but you can also just watch his TED Talk to get the gist of it. So it's a 10-minute talk, so I recommend you do that. Right, so what is involved in a brand expression and how should you do it? So, right, there's a million different ways you guys can do your brand expression, about how you design your logo and how you create your tagline and how you do your font styles. And You know, how long is a piece of string? So many ways you can do it. But from what I've learned of doing brands and websites for nutritional therapists, there's best practice and there's also good enough. Like, we don't have to overthink this. So I want to remove as many barriers as possible for people to get out there and just feel confident, feel like they have a professional brand and a professional presence, to just get out there and start practicing. Because I hear so many stories about the amount of nutritional therapists who are practicing after 5 years, and it's really low, and we need more people like you out there more than ever. So I'm going to go through all of these elements. So yeah, name, your logo type, your font style, your color palette, your style. Color, again, really important. Again, another genius brand. I'm sure most of you know that this is Tiffany just by looking at the colors. So these choices are important, but they're not rocket science. So, right, so how do you come up with a name for your brand? A good brand name has one job, and that's to be memorable, so people can remember it and find it again when they're looking for it, right? So it's going to be memorable, it's going to be short and simple, it's going to have no negative connotations. It's really helpful if it has a URL that you can buy so that some other company hasn't already taken it. So I use Innocent Smoothie as a great example of a brilliant name, because very, very simple, easy to remember. I fed my kids gallons of this stuff before I realized that it was a complete lie, and they weren't innocent, and they were very high in sugar. So really cute, memorable logo. So yeah, this is a really good brand name. They've done a really good job. But do you need a clever name for your business? And my answer is no. So I want you to think about experts in the nutrition field and their names. Like, do they have brand names, or are you thinking of actual people? Or so if you just take a second and think about your favorite gurus when you're studying nutrition, or who you follow on Instagram, think about who you follow, and are you following a brand name, or are you thinking of the person's name? So, and what I found is most people are thinking about the people, right? Everyone from Robin Folia to Patrick Holford to Dr. Hyman, Terry Walls, these are all people we follow because it's a personal relationship. We're looking to them as experts. So when you start out, people are looking to you as a person who's an expert in your field, and you're all experts already. You've done the training, you've done the clinical hours, you are experts, way more than the people coming to seek your help. You'll be able to guide them in a safe way of how to achieve the best health. And they want to trust an expert. They want to trust a person. So that's why all these people have been able to build up brilliant businesses and brands just using their name. It's human. We're kind of hardwired to remember people's names when we meet them. So like, I had a branding client who I never quite convinced her to just use her own name for her company. Her old company was called Roots to Nutrition, and she specialized in helping children with autism, ADHD, PANS, but her name was Catherine Picking. And I said, your name is so much more memorable than Roots to Nutrition, which is a lovely idea, but it's kind of generic, and people might say Roots for Nutrition or Paths to Nutrition, you know, they might not remember it right. And then I asked her, go on all of the forums where people recommend you. Who are they recommending? Are they recommending Roots to Nutrition or Catherine Picking? And all of them were recommending Catherine. Go to Catherine, go check out, or KP, they'd write, or Catherine Picking, or Catherine at Roots to Nutrition. So they were always using her name because that's who they were dealing with. So I just want to really, really reassure you that using your own name is probably the best choice. Now, if you've gone out and come up with a brilliant brand name, and you've already registered it, and you've already trademarked it, and you've already paid money, and you've already launched your business with a brand name instead of your own name, that's okay. That's not going to ruin your business. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if you're just starting out, don't be afraid to use your own name. Or if you're thinking about refreshing your brand, think about changing it back to your own name so that people just remember you and connect with you more on a personal level. Also, if you're just starting out, coming up with a unique brand name is very hard because there's billions of brands out there now. And coming up with using your own name just avoids trademark issues, and the URL is probably available, or a version of one. So that's why I'm Mello branding. I also have lesliemello.com. It's just, you just want to keep it as simple as possible and use your own name if you can. So then I go quickly over a descriptor by tagline. You don't need to come up with a clever tagline, either like a just do it. In fact, taglines are getting a bit dated now, so because they're all trademarked as well. But I really like, Robin Puglia. She just says nutrition and functional medicine. When people go to your website, it's most likely because they've been recommended you by someone else, and that's the gold standard of marketing, is a word of mouth recommendation from someone you trust. So when I go to Robin's website, I want to make sure that I'm out in the right place. Yes, nutrition. Yeah, they recommended this woman named Robin. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in the right place. Yes, she deals with complex autoimmune issues. Okay, I can now go to the next step and see whether or not I'm going to get in touch with her. So again, you just need a descriptor and your name. And if you've done more or want to do more, that's fine. I'm just saying, to start out, you don't have to, you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to come up and invent all these new things. Your own name is good enough in 99% of the cases. Now, the reason I say you don't need a logo is because a logo, again, is a symbol. It's a recall mechanism, and it's great for products where people are picking things off the shelves and they want to see things quickly, but it's not so great for people. So again, think about the people that you like and that you follow, and you're thinking about them. You're not thinking about their logo type isn't floating in your mind when you're thinking about Dr. Chatterjee. You're thinking about him and his demeanor, and whether you love or hate him, you're thinking about him and his face. So your face is your best logo. It's memorable, it's human, it creates that emotional connection, avoids trademark issues. You can't trademark a face. So I always tell people to invest in good portrait photography instead of investing in designing a fancy logo or logo type. So full transparency, I hate having my photo taken more than going to the dentist. Less painful going to the dentist, but if I can do it, anybody can. So just find a good photographer. Even if you have a friend, you can just take your photos for now so that you're happy with them. Just, yeah, trust me that people are going to connect with you as a human being more than any logo, no matter who designs it, no matter how many awards it's going to get for best design of the year. People are just not going to have that emotional connection as much as they are to you. So you're already your own logo, you're already your own brand. You just have to express it in the right way. So I always tell clients, use a logo type instead. Just typeset your name in a brand font. Make sure it's professional. I don't want to see a million different colors, a million different fonts. I don't want to see like Comic Sans or weird fonts just to look trendy. I want to see something that feels professional, respected, that elevates our profession. Like, you don't expect doctors to have cute logos or funny fonts, or I want to really elevate our profession so it becomes as respected as it should be. A clear descriptor, and you can even make this in Canva yourself and download what you need for all your social media and your website. So again, it's a very simple formula you can follow to get something that will be good enough to get you started and be professional. You don't need a logo. So brand fonts, choosing brand fonts. This is where I see a bit of tricky stuff happening with clients, either before I get to them or even after I work with them. If I've done just like a basic package, my budget package, and then they go off and do some of the stuff themselves, I'll look at their social media, and they'll have different fonts on every page, and they're not being consistent, or they're choosing kind of odd choices for fonts. And when we look at visuals, the visual language has a subliminal meaning to us. So to illustrate this, I did an activity for kids at one of my kids' schools. They were having a career day, and they wanted me to talk about branding and design. So I just wanted to tell kids that branding and design is just making choices in how something looks and feels that's appropriate to the business. Like, I just wanted to keep it really simple for them. But I did this lovely little exercise, and it was a little experiment for me because I wanted to see if it was really true. Right, I typeset the word logo type, and then in 4 different fonts, and I asked them to match the logo type to the businesses. So they had to match the logo type to a law firm, a toy shop, a kickboxing gym, and a spa. And every single kid matched the same font to the same business. So the top left, they match to the spa, the top right to the kickboxing gym, the bottom left to the toy store, and the bottom right to the law firm. So every kid instinctively just knew what typeface was most appropriate for each business. So fonts tell a story. So you've got to be a bit careful about when you pick your fonts. Colors also tell a story, right? So I asked them to match the color palettes to the businesses, and they all picked the same, they all matched the same exact colors, the same exact consistently. There was only one kid who it was completely random, and I realized he was probably colorblind, poor thing, but everyone else matched consistently. So the spa had the calm, cool colors that remind you of the sea and being somewhere lovely. And the boxing gym, the kickboxing gym, had more energetic, punchy colors, literally. So again, picking your colors is really going to tell a story. So just think about how you want your audience to feel when they land on your website or on your, your social media pages. So, I've branded clients, and some deal with very complex health cases where people are very sick and they need a lot of nurturing and a lot of compassion and a very gentle, slow hand when dealing with their issues. And so that would be more like the calm colors, right? The spa, more logo type. You want people to feel held and nurtured. And then I've done brands for people who are also, into sports medicine and physical trainers. So, they're into, CrossFit, and they get clients who are into the same thing, and they want that kind of energetic, motivational, kick up the butt, like go, 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 goal oriented, because that's where they are. So you've got to think of who you want to help, how you want to help them, and then how they want to feel when they interact with your brand. So the fonts tell a story, the color tells a story. So just make sure you're picking things that are appropriate to how your audience wants to feel. Right. A little bit of water. I can't even see any of you, and I'm still nervous doing the talk. So thank you for putting up with me. Whew. Okay, so content and copywriting is also really important, because what you choose to share and how you talk about it is also part of your brand style. And not all of us are natural writers, but all of us have a way we like to give information, and we all, we all talk in a certain way, right? So, so I always like to say content is queen. I mean, the saying is content is king, but I'm very feminist. I'm going to say content is queen. And most of us on the call today are probably women anyway. So one of the most important things we feed clients is information, right? We need to educate them. We need to inspire them. So, people who come to us might not even know what continuous blood sugar monitor is, or why it's important to keep your blood sugar balanced, whatever. So, but it can be often, if you're not a natural writer or you haven't done any blogging ever, it can feel really scary with that blank page, right? So I always tell people, use AI to start in what I call that shitty first draft, just to get that blank page fear away. Just ask ChatGPT to write a 200-word blog on why blood sugar balance is important, and then read through it, and then you edit it, you fact check it. Really important to fact check, because there's so much misinformation out there, and AI just scrapes the web and what most people reproduce. So you've got to fact check it. You can't just be like, I did a search for AI writing, and this was the first image that came up, which is like, you can just relax and sit on a beach and AI will write everything for you. And that's not true. But it's a fantastic tool to get your content started, because it's easier to edit and shape content that's already written than to just write it from scratch. In general, some of you might be brilliant writers and be able to just that's great. But for those of you who are worried about getting content out there, either on their social media, like, how am I going to think of things to say? You don't have to have unique content. You can do what I call curation instead of creation. In fact, it's important for us all to be saying the same things over and over again, because people need to hear things like an average of 10 times before it sticks or something. I don't know. But if people follow 10 different nutritional therapists on Instagram, and all 10 of them are saying blood sugar is really important, that message is going to get through. You don't have to be completely unique in what content you provide. It's all going to be the same content. How you talk about it is your own personal. So use personal experience, use personal case studies, but you can curate content where you repost an expert. So say you work with patients who have, clients that have autoimmune issues, you can repost something that Terry Walls has talked about. You can point people to her website and her blog and say, look, I absolutely love. So you comment on it. You say, here are the things she talks about that I love. Here's the blog if you want to read her whole blog. You link to her blog, you give her full credit, and then her expertise is actually going to rub off on you and make you look more credible. So you don't always have to create your own stuff. When you do curate content, be sure those brands do align with you though, because you don't want to be reposting brands that you might like some of the content, but then don't align with some of their values. So just be a little bit careful of that. And again, you rewrite things in a tone of voice that comes naturally to you. Read your stuff out loud, see if it sounds quite natural. Avoid jargon and expert language. I made this mistake when I first qualified because I had a real complex about not being taken seriously enough, and I wanted to be like a pseudo doctor, and I'd say things like mitochondrial dysfunction to clients, and people would look at me and then they would feel stupid because they wouldn't know what I was talking about. So believe me, you don't have to use the jargon and expert language unless you're pitching your brand to other health professionals. So there's always, always create your content with your audience in mind, right? So, okay, I'm gonna do a recap, to kind of do a case study. So I met a nutritional therapist and herbal medicine practitioner and naturopath at a conference, and she said, oh, you do branding and design as well? I really need help redoing my website. So her website used to be called healthrevisited.com, and this was her logo. And she just wanted me to refresh her website and make it mobile friendly because it was in an old platform. But I had to convince her that she had a real opportunity here to rebrand and use her name and use her face. And I did convince her because she liked her logo because it told a story, a dead, unhealthy tree being brought to life in a healthy tree, and then health revisited, revisiting what health means, how to take care of health. So all of these things tell a story, but people aren't going to emotionally attach to this as much as they're going to emotionally attach to lovely Marina, who's ready to take your call and help you. Her name, I'll remember her name much more easily than health revisited, because those are two words that we use all the time in language, but I don't know another Marina Townsley. So I'm going to remember that more. Her descriptor, nutrition, FSM, natural, herbal medicine, very clear. So I convinced her to rename, rebrand, redesign her website with my formula that I use for all natural health professionals. So because it's one that works. So your face, your lovely face, your name is your logo type, simple descriptor, a clear why. So she's all about digestive health. So that's her clear why. So people who either have digestive health problems or believe that their digestion will have an effect on their overall health will come to Marina. She deals with a huge range of people. She doesn't niche. Her niche is the fact that she always does digestive health first. So, and we switched her over to a Squarespace site because she was paying a web developer like, I don't know, 30 pounds a month just to keep her site ticking over, and they never really did anything. Squarespace, you pay a yearly, you can pay monthly, but you pay much less signing up to something like Squarespace, where the company's web developers just do everything for you, than hiring a web developer to kind of keep track of your WordPress site, because WordPress needs to be constantly updated with the right plugins to keep it safe so you can't hack into it, but Squarespace does that all for you. So, and her business increased. People were booking calls much more, and getting in touch with her and recommending her much more because they liked dealing with Marina more than they liked dealing with Health Revisited. It's also a bit weird to have a clinic name, but then only have one practitioner. So if you're going to launch a whole clinic, then you can talk about coming up with a name for your whole clinic. But when you see Health Revisited and then Health Revisited is also Marina Townsley, people kind of don't know which name to go with. So just keeping it simple and using your own name. I can't stress that enough. You're probably sick of hearing me talk about it. Anyway, so where do you begin? How do you take all this and start? And there's different options depending on your time and scale and budget. And again, I'm going to go through this really quickly because you can download my packages and my prices and all that at the end of the talk. So, right, so DIY. If you have a clear brand strategy, you kind of know all this already, you're happy to just jump in, you have the skills, you have the time to do it, you can do all of this DIY. There's Canva, there's Squarespace, I mean, there's Wix. I don't like Wix as much as Squarespace, but you can do the freebie version for a while before you have to upgrade and people feel safe with that. Just so you know, you can have Squarespace and build the whole thing for free before you launch it. So you can test it, you can try it out, and then as soon as you launch it, then you start paying for the subscription. But you know, if you have the time and the energy and the discipline to spend on it, then you can do this all DIY. Again, download my checklist, make sure you tick off all the boxes, just do it all yourself. It'll be good enough for you to get started and get out there. So the other option people often do is just hire a web designer or web developer. But most of them either expect you to bring all your brand assets. So you need all the content, you need the clear strategy, you need your toolkit of all your design elements. You need well-written content. So they also need to know how to create a website that'll direct people to the discovery call or to your services. So they need to optimize it for nutritional therapists. If you go down this route, make sure that you, you know, you don't make. You want ownership of your own site. You don't want people to like own a template, own a WordPress platform that you have to pay them money every month to upgrade it, unless you've got a big budget, unless you're a bigger company. But for sole traders, Squarespace is super professional. If anybody says that you're not professional unless you have a WordPress site, I would really challenge that. So especially when you're trying out things. Up until a year ago, Uber Eats was on a Squarespace platform. So many famous companies use Squarespace. So, and then you own it yourself. You can get into the back end, you can do all the changes. They make it very user-friendly. I've partnered with Abby Bacon for years. I love her last name, Bacon. Maybe because I love bacon so much, I love her. She prefers Squarespace too because it just has a level of professionalism over other sites like Wix, and it's much easier to use, and you don't need a web developer like WordPress. So it's like a kind of good middle ground. And over 4 years, we've created numerous sites in this platform, and they always work really well. So option 3 is you can hire an agency to do everything for you, and that's the package I offer, right? So everything you need to start or rebrand your business with the full professional support. So absolutely bespoke, customized, one-to-one service, no DIY involved. You know, so everything from your brand strategy, naming, URL, the brand design toolkit, photography brief, content, everything is guided by the agency. In my case, it would be me, and then the technical stuff by Abby. But this gives you, like, you know, the luxury spa package. So it's like having your own personal chef and your personal trainer and massages and facials. You know, everything gets done for you, but also by you. You know, so I uncover what people really, who they really are authentically as a brand through workshops. So I'm never inventing or telling you who you should be. It's still coming from you, but I make sure you express it in the most professional, authentic, unique, you know, beautiful way possible. So, and the only downside of that is the cost. A lot of people can't invest in what that full package costs. So then, oh, I'm going to go back actually one. So because people can afford my full package, which gives you everything done, and then you've got a live website ready to go, and all of your stuff designed and all the elements you need for social media to upload to Canva, etc. I did a budget version where all the decisions were made for you. So I would take you through one by one everything, and we would decide a font, we would decide a color, we would decide what your logo type should look like with like visual references. we would decide your name, make sure you've got a URL, do the whole brand strategy. So decide all that. So your whole brand strategy will be done. And then I would give you direction on what your logo type should look like, what your color palette should be. So we make those decisions together so that you're really confident that you have a very clear brief to then take to a designer to make your elements, or take to a web developer to get your web design built. And this was much, much less. So less than a third of my full package. But people still had trouble with that because then they had to go out and find a web developer, although a lot of people just used Abby directly. I never gatekeep her. I let you go directly to her. If you want to go directly to her, there's no reason to go through me. But also they would have to manage designers. They wouldn't get it quite right. They weren't sure about even who to work with. So it works really well for some people, but not for others. So then the last few weeks, Abby and I really thought about, okay, what's going to remove all the barriers so that people can just like plug in and go, like just to start, just to get something good enough and professional. So they look professional, they look competent, and you know, they have all the content in the right order that people want to read it in, all the things they need to do to be a nutritional therapist and just to start. And so Abby said, you know, more and more web developers are doing their own custom templates with all the content already kind of mapped out for people so they can just plug in and go. So that's what Abby and I have done. So we've developed a really easy and affordable option for you just to start your business. And this is based on all the work we've done, all of our expertise. So it's already done for you. What you'll have to do with these templates is, you know, sign up to Squarespace. That's a separate cost, just, you know, the yearly subscription to Squarespace. But you sign up and you get a very professional website that has all the things you need as a nutritional therapist. So it has your services, it has your testimonial section for testimonial, it has the about me, it has everything you need to take people through that journey as a nutritional therapist in a website that you can just plug in and go. Now you're going to have to replace the image of these nice ladies with one of yourself. Again, if you don't have the budget right now to do a professional photo shoot, find someone who takes really good pictures of you and a really good camera with the portrait mode on, like an iPhone, and try that. But just as long as you do get some kind of picture of yourself somewhere. Some people will put just like an image of food as their front image, which is fine. As long as there's a picture of you in the about me when they scroll down, that's fine. So the difference with this template to other templates too is that I've gone through and written all the prompts and told you how to write the content. So in the about me, it'll say people need to know, like, and trust you before they buy your services. So write a little bit about who you are and why you're so passionate about helping people. So I give you little prompts. So it's not going to just be dummy text. You're not going to be staring at a blank page. You're literally going to have my expertise on content and guiding you through all the content. So you can buy either the one pager, which doesn't have a blog and just scrolls down the page so that people do boom, 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 which people love for its simplicity. There's no blog. You just, you know, plug in and go. And that's £185, or you can buy the more comprehensive website that has the traditional pages about services, testimonials, etc. So Abby's done the tech. I've created the design and also given you the guidance. I've also, for the 6-pager, I've written 3 blog posts for you using a little bit of AI and editing it and choosing the pictures so that it's like ready to go. All you have to do is go in and personalize the blog post a little bit, make sure it's in your voice, change it up a little bit for SEO, and then you're ready to publish. So you literally could download these templates and be done in a couple days and just get out there, and they will be good enough. So this template is called Birch. That's why you see the name Birch up there, and the other one's called Cedar. Cedar's the 1-pager. So please visit my site or visit Abby's site to take a look at this. And if something's holding you back from launching because you feel like you don't know what the right brand is for you yet, you don't know what colors to pick, you feel kind of lost, confused, and you're really afraid of making the right choice, just start here. Just get out there, plug it in, you're good to go. And then as you grow your business, as you become, more confident practicing, then you can invest in enhancing your brand then. And you can customize this as much or as little as you want. Squarespace makes it very easy, and Abby has made really good tutorials, like this is how you change the fonts, this is how you change the colors, so you can make it look different. And just know that people aren't going to come to your site and think, oh, I really don't, this, they're not going to pick apart like a professional, clear, clean, elegant site like this and say, oh, that kind of looks like this other site that I looked at. People are used to seeing these templates. It's the personal message and it's your personal photo that's going to make a real difference. So as long as you get that in here, you're good to go. So, phew, that's the end of my talk. Oh, this is some testimonials. You'll see that in the handout and the slides. So this is the final slide. This is my thank you slide. I was coming back from a talk earlier this year, well, on the 20th of October. And this was written on one of those all on the board things that the Tube does. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I tell my clients. And they wrote, your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card, and the way you make others feel is your trademark. Stay blessed, Team Houston. And I love that because they're right. They're right. So I want to reassure you that you already have a brand. You just need to plug your beautiful face and your name in there and get your message right, and you'll be good to go. So if you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to my packages page. I keep it hidden because I don't want corporate people that I still work with to see what prices I give you guys, because it's such a big discount. They're going to want my discounted price, and so I don't want to negotiate with them. It has my branding checklist, my prices. You will have to enter your email to get my PDF. I want to promise you, I do not use emails for sales funnels. You're not going to get an email from me every day rehashing this whole presentation. I'm a very low pressure sales person, so the only reason I will use your email is if I've made a change to one of my packages, or if I'm offering a free webinar. And what I was going to ask you as the very last favor is if you guys wanted kind of a free drop-in clinic, like once a month or maybe every 2 weeks, if I held like a Zoom lunch drop-in branding clinic, if that would be helpful for you guys. I don't know, because I'm still trying to figure all this out myself. So if you wanted to put in the chat any questions you have for me, I can see by my time we're up to 53 minutes. So we've got about 20 minutes of questions. And also just put in the chat what you would want from me as kind of like a free drop-in clinic, if that interests you. I know it's hard for this because it's really kind of one-to-one work to decide, what's really authentic for your brand, but I still think kind of a group kind of, chat once every couple of weeks could be helpful. Okay, done, Alex. I did it.